Hi, I'm Tessa Albrecht, a plant pathologist working in the Nachappa lab. We are going to talk about stripe rust and wheat curl mite-transmitted viruses. Stripe rust is a common pathogen of wheat in our area. Symptoms are characterized by small, yellow-orange oval pustules that form along the leaf veins. Favorable conditions for stripe rust include low temperatures and frequent moisture or dew periods. Stripe rust did not overwinter in Colorado this year, so we did not have early season infections that are most damaging. Over the last 2 seasons, stripe rust has occasionally caused disease on some of our traditionally resistant varieties, suggesting a shift in the stripe rust population affecting our area. This is relevant because you may need to start looking for stripe rust on resistant varieties and may need to adjust management strategies going forward. We've had very limited observations of stripe rust in Colorado this year. It was first sighted on May 26th near Roggen, Colorado. Last year, the first report was on May 24th. We also have reports from the Burlington area and near Yuma. We have not had any reports of leaf or stem rust in Colorado this season. Weather conditions are currently not conducive to spread stripe rust. These are images of some samples collected in Yuma. On the left, you can see an active sporulation producing uridinea spores, with some telea spores starting to form. Uridinea spores spread the infection to new wheat plants, and telea spores are produced in the next part of the life cycle and are not infectious to wheat. In the middle image is a leaf with telea spores, and on the right you see what appears to be stripe rust infection that has been stopped and did not sporulate. Hot, dry conditions can prevent sporulation and or stimulate transition to the next stage of the life cycle. We've had notably more aphid presence in yellow dwarf virus occurrence this season. Yellow dwarf viruses can be transmitted by 25 species of aphids, most commonly English grain aphid, bird cherry oat, corn leaf, and green bug. Yellow dwarf viruses include barley yellow dwarf virus and cereal yellow dwarf virus. Symptoms vary, but typically we are seeing yellowing of leaves progressing from the tips downward and sometimes turning red. Loss of photosynthetically active leaf tissue results in stunting of affected plants. We have observed yellow dwarf virus symptoms often in the presence of aphids in Weld, Logan, Yuma, Kiowa, and Prowers counties this season. Yield losses vary depending on the severity of aphid infestation.
Hi everybody, my name is Punya Nachappa. I'm a faculty in the Department of Agricultural Biology here at CSU, and I'm excited to share our research on wheat curl mite and mite-transmitted viruses. The wheat curl mite, as you all know, is a microscopic mite, but it's still a major pest because the populations can build up to very high numbers very quickly. As you can see in this picture, this white stuff on the heads are actually mites. The mites can also tolerate very high temperatures, and of course that shortens their lifespan, so they get up to higher numbers quicker, and they also disperse very easily by wind, so with minimum effort. The mites are known to transmit 4 viruses, but 3 are most important: wheat streak mosaic virus, triticum mosaic virus, and high plains wheat mosaic virus. And often they're transmitted in mixed infections. This picture shows the wheat streak mosaic virus, which is the most predominant one. You can see the wheat streaks, and the mites are typically at the very base of the plant where they curl up the leaf, hence they're called wheat curl mites, and you can see these little specks. So this is our survey that we conducted in the past 2 years, in 2019 and 2020 as of June 1st. This year we have definitely lower incidence and severity of the disease, which is good news. We haven't tested for triticum or high plains virus yet, but I'm sure we'll have some appearance of that. But last year it was very widespread. But the good news for growers is that in Colorado, single infection, only wheat streak mosaic virus is more predominant, whereas in regions like the Texas Panhandle, they have these mixed infections. And that is a problem because when you have mixed infections, you're likely to have the synergistic interaction between the viruses, resulting in greater yield loss. So my lab is also interested in understanding the mite and the virus diversity. So this is what we call a phylogenetic tree, showing the relationship between these two different genotypes of mites that we found. Type 1 mites and type 2 mites from different counties here in Colorado. And why should we know this information? That's because the type 2 mites are more virulent and they are better vectors. So you can see they're definitely more widespread. However, both mites, type 1 and type 2, can be found in mixed population. And just because we didn't find type 2 in Sedgwick County doesn't mean they don't exist. It's just a matter of sampling more. So both of them are found, but it's important to know which one is predominant in your area. If you look at the wheat streak mosaic virus diversity, you see several different isolates here in Colorado. And one thing that was interesting is this isolate that we collected from Larimer County was 100% similar to this isolate from Kansas that is thought to be potentially resistance breaking. Now, we don't know if our isolate breaks down resistance in WSM2, the current effective gene for resistance, but this is something we'd like to test. But the fact that we have this diversity in the wheat streak mosaic virus isolates makes breeding for durable resistance difficult because you have to account for, these diverse strains of the virus. So what do we do to control the wheat curl mite and the virus? The most effective way is, of course, planting mite and virus-resistant varieties. And we're very fortunate with our breeding program led by Dr. Scott Haley and the Plains Gold varieties. We have a very nice set of varieties that provides benefit or help to the growers. But here this chart shows the virus level, wheat streak mosaic virus, that we measured using PCR in Scott Haley's irrigated variety trial in Burlington. And one variety that stands out is Guardian, that has both the wheat curl mite and the wheat streak mosaic virus resistance gene. And this is the only variety that had significantly lower virus. The circles indicate Scott's visual ratings, and there's a good correlation. So this shows that pyramiding both mite and the virus genes is the way to go in the future to significantly reduce virus levels. But my recommendation to growers would be to continue to use diverse strategies to keep the virus and mite levels down and to avoid breakdown of resistance. So continue cultural control methods, especially eliminating pre-harvest and post-harvest volunteer wheat, eliminate grassy weeds that serve as hosts for the mites and the virus. Do not plant your wheat next to late emerging crops, summer crops like corn and sorghum and small grains, and avoid early planting, and as much as possible delay planting to lengthen that time and break down that so-called green bridge. So overall, the bottom line is to use an integrated disease management approach to control this complex of diseases. And with this, I'd like to thank our collaborators, Dr. Scott Haley and Pat Byrne, who've really helped us get started in understanding this disease complex, and of course my lab, and especially Tessa, who did majority of this work. Thank you.